Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Van Beurden. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to you. My name is Mark van Baal. I'm the founder of Follow This. We are a movement of green shareholders in Shell. Our goal is a more sustainable world. Our goal is to make this world sustainable much quicker than we do right now. And we want Shell to take the lead in that. We think Shell can make a difference. So as shareholders, we want you to move to sustainable energy. Mr. Van Beurden, you've received hundreds of emails in the last month of new and existing shareholders who encourage you to invest more in renewables. For the benefit of the other shareholders, I will read this email. It's very short. It says, Dear Ben, or Dear Mr. Van Beurden, I hope you recognize the mail.
Yeah, I've read them all. Yeah.
Thank you. I believe you can change the world. As a shareholder in Shell, I want you to know that I expect the company to move in a new direction. I want Shell to change course and make the move to sustainable energy. I know you can make a difference, and this is why I became shareholder. So you've received hundreds of these emails. Today we're here. We hope other shareholders will join us. For example, ABP, who are in dire straits, they can make a decision to support our case. But for the other shareholders, I want to make clear that we're not asking you to stop investing in producing oil and gas. Or we're not asking you to stop producing oil and gas. We're not asking you to stop paying dividends. I would be lynched in this place, I suppose. I wouldn't make it out alive. We're not asking you that. We're only asking you to recognize that you have to make as much profit as possible from your existing oil and gas fields right now. Enjoy them. Enjoy the profits. Enjoy it while you have it. But please invest these profits in renewables. The energy of this century, and not in just more fossil fuels. I will give you one example. You're sending now an armada to Alaska. You've spent, for the other dear fellow shareholders, Shell spent to date $7 billion for looking for oil in Alaska. $7 billion. They will spend another $1 billion a year at least. Is that correct? Last year was $1 billion. We'll spend another $1 billion a year to look for oil. This will only deliver money in 2030, earliest. So Shell will spend billions and billions and billions not making any profit from it. We suggest you would invest that in renewable energy. For example, send an armada of ships not to Alaska but to the North Sea and build a wind farm instead. So, in short, our statement is, we want you to look at the future and say, Shell will be a renewable energy company by 2030. We, as shareholders, don't want you to be the next Kodak. Or, Ms. Olila, we don't want Shell to be the next Nokia. So, let me come to our question. Given the fact that fossil fuels are getting more and more expensive to get out of the earth, it's more and more expensive. You have to go to the poles, you have to go to the deep sea, you have to go to subsalt, etc. Given the fact that renewables are getting cheaper and cheaper by the day. Mr. Van Beurden, Mr. Olila, you're both engineers. You know technology gets cheaper and cheaper. And fossils are raw materials getting more expensive. The renewables are getting cheaper and cheaper because they are technology. So, our question is, please put the billions you have, the brains you have, ladies and gentlemen, the smartest guys in this theater are sitting on stage there. Shell hires the brightest students from universities. We want you to put your brilliance and brains behind it and make sure Shell will be a renewable energy company. And I will finalize with a quote from you, Mr. Van Beurden. You said in Shell Venster, an organization that has so many qualities, so much expertise, so much capital, has to be able to reinvent itself. So our question, Mr. Van Beurden, we believe that you can change the world by putting Shell's brains and billions behind renewables. We are long-term shareholders, and we want to prevent our shares to become worthless. Our question is, how can we help you? You have our support. You really have our support.
Well, thank you very much. Your point was made very clear.
And I think the state of the will of the company has been also made clear in responses to a number of the earlier questions. So, Ben, very briefly, if you want something to add.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thanks for the many emails that I've received, of which I take note, and they have all been personalized, which I thought was quite nice as well, better than the sometimes 20,000 emails I get from Greenpeace supporters. But in this case, yes, we will indeed make our efforts to contribute to the transition in the energy system. That will be a long-term transition, and we want to be, as I said, at the forefront of it. I'm afraid it will not go as fast as you want if you also want to have your dividend safe for the next few years. Simply, you characterize the issues in our industry quite well. Sometimes we have to invest millions or billions in exploration activities that may or may not result in oil finds. And if they do, may or may not result in developments. But we are reasonably certain about the business model that follows from it. We are not so certain at this stage of the maturity of the business model in renewables. So quite often, renewable investments make money by the grace of subsidies. And we do not think it is a sustainable position at this point in time to base the entire future of the company on state subsidies. The scale of our company, although it is a small company in the total energy system, is very large. I cannot invest $35 billion a year in renewable energies and hope to pay $12 billion of dividends a year. Right? Thank you. One comment.
Let's have Simon Henry comment first, and then a very brief 2-sentence comment.
If I may, just to introduce a few numbers, because the whole debate seems to assume we can switch overnight.
We don't ask you to switch overnight.
Let me help just put this in context. Today, $4 billion will be spent on the energy industry, new investment, and tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after. $1.5 trillion per year. At the moment, 250 to 300 billion of that is going into renewables. We invest 37 last year, 33 this year. That renewables investment in total, we talked about million barrels a day, so the total energy demand today is 250 million barrels oil equivalent a day. It's growing towards around 400 the middle of this century. 80% of the 250 is fossil fuel, 90 of it is oil, 55 is gas, the rest is coal. The investment required in renewables at $300 billion a year, and that's been around 250, 300 for the past 5 years or more, is today producing less than less than 2 million barrels a day oil equivalent, less than 1% of the world's total energy. At that level of investment, that's what it takes. It will continue. It will get cheaper. It will happen. But the scale of this industry, the infrastructure, the numbers, they are just way too big to make a difference in a short period of time. We need to make choices as a society about where we need to go and where that investment, the R&D goes. But it isn't going to happen overnight just because this is so big. Thank you.
Yeah, let me finalize it. We have more confidence in you than you have in yourself, apparently. We think you have the billions and brains to make this change, not to follow it, but to really lead the change. So how can we help you start tomorrow? Do you need more shareholders?
Yeah. Thank you. I think the comment is that the transition will take more time than most of us would wish.
Okay. See you next year.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much.